Whenever we think about winter clothing, we always think about hats and scarves and bundling up with your favorite cozy cardigan. Today, I'm going to show you how to make the perfect beanie for winter and with a little pom-pom on top. Okay, so for this project, you're going to need a ball of yarn. I decided to use this really nice grey color. It is 100% acrylic and it's compatible with a 4mm crochet hook. Speaking of hook sizes, we're going to need a 4mm crochet hook. You can use 3.5 or even 3 depending on how tight you want your stitches to be. And then we're also going to need a pair of scissors just to fasten off and cut our yarn, and then tapestry needle to make the top of the beanie and sew it closed. I honestly don't know how this cracked, but yeah. Lastly, we're also going to need a pen, a little piece of paper, and a tape measure. What you want to do with the tape measure is to measure the circumference of your head. So you want to measure all the way around your head where you want your beanie to sit. And mine measures about 19 inches. So we're just going to quickly note that down so we know where to stop crocheting. So 19 inches. And now we are ready to start crocheting. We're going to start off by making a slip knot. So you're just going to make your slip knot however you guys make it. I just make mine like this. And then once you have your slip knot complete, we're going to place it on the hook and tighten it. You want to pull it really tight so it doesn't come off. And then we're going to start making our foundation chain. And I'm going to chain 48. So to chain, you yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and you're going to repeat this until we have a chain of 48. And make sure that your chain is relatively even in tension so we don't have any gaps in our finished beanie. So we're just going to continue until we have reached the desired amount of chains. So I've chained 48, but you guys can crochet as many chains as you want, but I just made mine a little bit longer so I can cuff the bottom of my beanie. And if you don't want to cuff the bottom of your beanie, you don't have to add any extra chains, but if you want a bigger cuff, then you can add more chains, so it's all up to you. So once you've done all your chains, you're going to yarn over and we're going to skip the first 2 stitches. So we don't want to crochet in here, we don't want to crochet in here, but we want to crochet in the 3rd stitch here. So we're going to insert our hook and make a double crochet. So you're going to insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And we're going to do this 2 more times so you guys can get the hang of it. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 of your loops. And then we're going to do that 1 more time together. Yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And these are half double crochets, so we want to half double crochet all the way along the chain, and you can make this with whatever stitches you want. You can do it as a double crochet, single crochet, but single crochets do take a bit longer, but they do look really nice with single crochets. And you can even use a treble crochet if you're really lazy and you want to work it up really fast. But I thought like the best compromise for the stitches is a half double crochet because it looks really neat and it doesn't really take that long to complete. So you're going to continue until you reach all the way to the end of our chain. Now that I've made it all the way to the end of my chain, we're going to start a new round. And to start your new round, all you need to do is chain 2. And because I want this to have a nice ribbed effect, I'm going to half double crochet in the back loops only. So as you can see, here we have a front loop, and then here we have a back loop. So you want to insert your hook in the back loops only, and then insert your half double crochet. And then we're going to do it again, yarn over, insert your hook into the back loop only, and then pull through all 3 of those loops. And if you don't want to make the ribbed effects, you can just put your hook straight into the 2 stitches and crochet like normal, but I am not going to do that today. I love how the ribbed look is, so I'm going to continue crocheting in the back loops only until I get to the very end of my chain. So we're going to do one more together. Let me just hold the yarn properly. Yarn over, insert your hook, put up a loop, yarn over, and then pull through all 3 loops. And this is what it looks like close up. And then yeah, we're going to continue until we reach the end. From here until the end of your beanie, it becomes really repetitive. All you need to do to start each round is to chain 2 and then half double crochet in the back loops only, and you want to continue working up your rows until it measures the length of your circumference. So far we've only done 2 rows, and we're going to measure from here and along there, so not upwards. So I'm going to grab my tape measure and then just pull it to about 19 inches. 19, and we want to crochet until we reach all the way down to 19 inches. So as you can see, we've only done about not even an inch yet. So we have a long way to go, and I'll come back to you guys when I have reached my desired length. So this is what all my rows look like. It turns out my head is not 19 inches all the way around. I miscalculated. It's actually about 16 inches, and you have to remember to take into account that the yarn stretches as well when you put it over your head, because you don't want a really tight fit and you also don't want a loose fit. So I think this is perfect for me. So now to start assembling our beanie, what you need to do is fold your work in half like this. And what you can do at this stage is sew all the way along this or slip stitch, but I'm just going to slip stitch because I do not mind crocheting like that. So I'm just going to put my hook inside the loop and then turn my work towards myself like this. Now what you want to do is insert your hook into the first stitch and then go into the first stitch of the other side of our beanie, and then pull that through and then pull this loop straight through. It's a bit hard to do the first one, but yeah. Okay, that's the first slip stitch done, and then you're going to go into your next stitch and then the next stitch on the other side of the beanie, insert your hook, pull that through, and then pull this loop straight through. We're going to do it one more time. So into the next stitch, into the next stitch at the back of our beanie, pull that straight through, and then pull this loop straight through. And this is what it looks like. And you want to continue until you get to the end of the beanie. I put stitch markers along the side that I'm slip stitching, so it helps keep my work together. It's not necessary, but it definitely helps. And that is my neighbor's dog in the background, if you can hear it. I think it's really upset being outside. But yeah, I'm just going to continue going all the way along and removing my stitch markers as I reach them, so I don't, mess up the crochet. So I'm just going to continue. once you have slip stitched all the way along, we can now chain one and then fasten off. And we can weave in all the tails later on. You don't have to do that now, but you can if you want to, because we have this tail at the beginning and then this tail at the end. And we just want to pull it really, really tight so it doesn't come undone. And now we need to do the top of the beanie to really give it that shape. So we're going to grab our yarn and place it through the eye of the needle. I'm just going to try and put it in. It's always kind of hard to put it in because it frays at the end. So to kind of stop that from happening, you can twist the yarn a little bit and then put it through. Okay, like so. Okay, so now that we got it through, we're going to go at the top of our beanie. This can be the top of your beanie or this can be the top of your beanie. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you. You know what? This will be the top of my beanie actually. The piece at the bottom. Okay, so what you're going to do is insert your needle through the holes and then just keep putting it in and out like this using the top stitches. There's not really a way to explain this. You just keep putting your needle in and out until you go all the way around, and as you can see, it's already starting to kind of bunch together. So yeah, just copy what I'm doing and then you should be fine. You don't even need to be a master at sewing to do this either, so it just keeps this project nice and simple. So we're going to keep going until we go all the way around. If you can't get more stitches on the needle, what you can do is just pull the needle slightly and then continue bunching your stitches together. Now that we've reached the end, you can tell that we've reached the end because we have the really long tail of yarn that we started with. And then I'm just going to do a few more stitches and now pull this. And now we're going to grab both ends of the yarn here and then pull it tight to close it completely. You want to pull it as tight as you can because we do not want a hole at the top of the beanie. That would actually be a disaster. So just keep maneuvering it, pulling the yarn, and then seeing how far you need to pull it to close it completely. I've pulled mine as tight as I can and there's no hole. And to check that, you can just turn your hat inside out and see what it looks like on the other side. And it's nice and sealed. So I'm going to turn it back around to this side and then tie a few knots so the hole does not open. So I'm just going to grab my two ends of the yarn like so and then make a knot and pull it really tight. And then I think I'm going to do this like 4 more times. So that's the second time, the third time, and then 1 more time just to make it extra secure. Put it tight. And then we can also weave in these ends so it doesn't come undone as well. So I'm going to cut it so I can sew it properly. And then I'm going to weave in all these ends soon. So now we can turn it this way around, and this is the top of the beanie. It's really beginning to look like a hat, and I think it looks really good so far. And I also curled up the bottom, so I crocheted a few extra rows so I could turn up the bottom. So now, just to finish off, we're going to make a pom-pom to go on top. So to make this pom-pom, we're going to get our grey yarn. You can use a different colour if you want, but I'm just going to stick to this. And the last time I made pom-poms was a very, very long time ago. I'm just going to try and remember how I was taught to make it. So what I'm going to do is leave a tail about this long and then wrap yarn quite loosely around my fingers. I don't want to do it too tight because then my fingers will turn purple. So I'm just going to keep wrapping this yarn around my fingers until I reach the size that I want. And obviously the more you wrap around, the bigger your pom-pom is going to be. So you can do it as many times as you want, and you don't even have to make a pom-pom if you don't want to. Okay, so I wrapped my yarn around my fingers quite a few times, and it is getting a bit tight actually, like my fingers are turning a bit purple. So I think now it's time to remove it. So you're going to take it off your fingers, and we're going to keep this tail, and then I'm going to grab the tail of the yarn that's attached to the ball of yarn and then wrap around this way. So you just want to keep wrapping and pulling it tight. You have to make sure it's really tight because of what we're going to do next. So we do not want any of the yarn breaking. I think this pom-pom is going to be really big, but it's fine. Okay, I think that's fine now. Okay, that's enough time to go around. Okay, so once you've gone round enough times, you're going to cut your yarn, and then you're going to get these two loose ends and tie them together. And then I'm going to do 2 knots. So that is 1, 2. And we need these ends of yarn very shortly. So now to make the pom-pom, we're going to just cut the loops of our yarn. Make sure you don't cut the middle of the pom-pom because everything will come unraveled. So just want to cut all the loops. It is a bit hard to cut, but you want to take a few loops at a time. I'm really soaring through this. Okay. And you have inside loops too that need to be cut. This is what my pom-pom looks like now that it's been trimmed. I'm going to just cut the top off just a little bit. And I think it looks quite nice. And I think it's good enough to put on top of my beanie. But you can trim as much as you want or as little as you want. But I decided to neaten it up a bit. But I recommend doing this over the bin or something so you don't have all this all over your room. So now to attach the pom-pom on our beanie, we're going to grab the pom-pom and just put it in the middle, making sure that these two are facing down because we need to put them inside here. So I'm going to grab my tapestry needle. You could use a crochet hook to kind of just grab your yarn, but I'm going to use a tapestry needle. So I'm just going to put one of the ends through the eye of the needle and then place it straight through the middle of the beanie and then pull it through like so. And then I'm going to do the same for this one. Just put the yarn through the eye of the needle, put it through, and then also place it in the middle. And then pull that straight through. So inside our beanie, we have these 2 strands of yarn, and to attach the pom-pom, all you need to do is tie a knot. And again, I'm going to do a couple knots so it doesn't come off, so it doesn't blow away in the wind. 2, 3, and 4. And then here we have our pom-pom attached to our beanie. So the last thing that needs to be done is to just weave in all the ends so we have a presentable looking beanie. So I'm just going to do that and then I'll come back to you guys soon. The thing is, you can just cut your yarn straight off since you've tied all your knots, but to be on the safe side, I'm going to weave my yarn in and then cut the yarn after I weaved in enough. So I'm just going to do that quickly. And this is what the complete hat looks like. I'm not really a hat person, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's really neat as well. I love how I did all the stitches, and the little pom-pom just adds a bit of creativity to it. Alright guys, that is the end of today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'm really excited to hear about the different beanies that you guys come up with. And as always, I will see you in the next one.